ABC. Conklin and Company with 13 ABC Action News anchor Lee Conklin. First with what's happening behind the headlines. And Take 3, our panel of political analysts.
Morning, everybody. Welcome into another edition of Conklin and Company, and happy Easter to one and all. Hope you're having a great Sunday with family and friends on this Easter Sunday today. Coming up on the program, gearing up for the May 6th primary, just over 2 weeks away. And the Secretary of State's specially appointed Transparency Committee coming in, grilling the local Board of Elections for the second time, trying to ensure that there's a fair and smooth election come May 6th. That and more on the way in Take 3. Also, they'll run the Boston Marathon tomorrow. Some 36,000 runners from all over the country, several from Northwest Ohio, will take part 1 year after the fatal bombings near the finish line. You're going to meet someone who will take part in that effort tomorrow. We'll catch up with local runner, prominent runner, Matt Folk, a little bit later in Take 2 today on Conklin and Company. But first, we continue our series of interviews with those who want to replace Mike Collins, take that vacated city council seat in District 2. Bob Vasquez, one of the four, running against Joe Celesta, Marcia Hellman, and Matt Cherry, who has the seat right now. Right. Bob, good to see you again.
Good to see you, too.
Here we are just a couple of weeks away now, and it is a crowded field. City council member, 4 more years, recently reelected for a full term, Bob.
Right.
The first question is, why not fulfill that commitment to finish that 4-year term?
Well, I had every intention of doing that when I was elected and when I ran and campaigned for the school board. But as you know, I've been on the school board since 2008. So it's not like
you're just coming in.
I'm just coming in. So, but what happened is that with the election of the mayor, D. Michael Collins, who was the District 2 councilman, I didn't know, and I couldn't know that was going to happen. So this is my district. I've lived and work in District 2 for over 20 years. And so I thought, well, I have the experience. I need to step up and help myself and my neighbors in the district and take some of that experience and use it there.
Okay, so you make that decision. Okay, I'm going to go for this.
Right.
Leave the school board if elected.
Right.
Let me ask you about your time
Okay.
before we get to the city itself. But what do you think you brought to the table, your biggest accomplishment, something you're most proud of as a TPS board member through some very tumultuous times?
It was, and the thing that I did that I'm most proud of is I was president for 2 years. And as president, when I became president, the school system has some very serious financial challenges. And right now they're on pretty solid financial footing going into the future. However,
got to pass a levy, though.
Well, but I want to go back to the past first. Okay. And the leadership that I had to provide was that we had to ask, we had to cut our budget and we had to ask for concessions. And that is really, really tough to do because you're asking your staff and your employees to make sacrifices. And they did make those sacrifices. And so they took the concessions, and it took strong leadership to do that. And I didn't like having to do that, but it was something that we had to do to make sure that we were financially stable.
Think that is something you may have to do as a city council person, bring that to bear. We've had administrations have had to go to unions and ask for concessions. Democrat, you're ready to do that if it comes to be part of the process.
Well, and here are some things I've learned. I'm hoping that we don't have to do that. And how I look at that is that if we start dealing with the budget and the budget issues now, and I know we just passed a budget, but there's a tendency for government and organizations to deal with the crisis at hand and then kind of put it on the back shelf and then deal with it when they have to deal with it again.
I think the Blade called it the 11th hour.
Okay.
Was what it was referred to
and I guess that's what I'm referring to is that, you know, as soon as you pass the budget, you should start looking at the next year. And that's what I've learned on the school board is that that's what we have to do. We have to monitor that on a monthly basis.
You're critical of taking money from the CIP, but that sounds well and good. I mean, isn't that kind of the easy criticism to say, why are you taking money from the CIP when it's easier said than done not to do it? If you don't have the money, where do you go?
Well, and I guess that's my point is that yes, I have concerns about taking money from the capital improvements fund, and the reason I do is because that's going to affect somewhere. It's going to affect roads, infrastructure, and all of those things, and those things are absolutely necessary for us to have. And you're right. You can't just sit back and criticize and say, "Well, why are you doing that?" You're doing that because you need to balance the budget, and the money needs to come from someplace. That's why good planning. We need to plan. We need to do something. We need to start weaning ourselves away, and we need to start having those conversations. The city needs to have those conversations. The mayor needs to have those conversations, and they can be ongoing conversations, but we have to monitor our budget as we go along. I think planning is the key, and I think responding to these kinds of things is the key.
As you look at City Council from the outside looking in, how would you characterize the makeup of this City Council as somebody who wants to be part of it?
Well, I think the makeup of the council is very diverse, and I think that that's a good thing. And when I think about running, what I have to think about is I'm running for a district seat, but I also have to look at things in a wider way for the better of Toledo. So I have some things that I'm concerned about in targeting it for the district, and also reminding people that the district people vote on all of the things in the city.
Most important thing to District 2?
Well, I think everybody will say Southwick.
Yeah, that's kind of the default line, but
It is.
But is it?
Well, Southwick would be the home run, but we have to remember that Southwick is, there are private owners there. And the thing that the city can do most is be a good partner, but also try to hold them accountable in trying to sell it or develop it or whatever they need to do. But the thing I want people to remember is that District 2 is also made up of neighborhoods. And there are some very nice neighborhoods, and we got to make sure.
Some that get forgotten in all the Southwick
You know
talk?
what? I think so. I think so. And I don't want to give the impression that Southwick's not important. It certainly is a priority. But if you look at businesses along the corridor of Reynolds Road, you look at the businesses in Glendale and Byrne and that area, and then you look at the neighborhoods inside, and we talk about infrastructure and we talk about safety. And I think safety and making sure that our neighborhoods remain safe and that the infrastructure is strong is really important to our neighborhoods.
Really a prideful area,
Yes.
South Toledo, Glendale and Heather Downs and Byrne Road and Beverly, the Beverly area, and
Right.
what have you. So it is a proud area, and an area that so many people have called home for a long time. So you mentioned Southwick. Yes, it is. That's the home run.
Right.
So you said hold the owners accountable.
Right.
Okay, so how do you hold those owners accountable?
Well, I think that one of the things is that we have to use whatever the city has and whatever.
Is there any
influence
leverage? Does the city have any leverage, Bob?
Well, I think that more than even just leverage is that we have to present ideas to them and try to make it convenient for them to be able to do business there and to be able to sell or to do something. But I also want to hold people accountable for the way it looks now until those things happen. And I think that there are ways, and the city has done that. And I think, I'll be honest with you, I have a really good feeling about something happening.
So what do you know? I get the feeling you know something.
I don't.
You can go ahead. It's Easter. Everybody's at church right now.
I don't know anything, but I think that the Clarion, bringing it down to Clarion, and I think that the other business moving into the old Kmart is a really good start.
That's a start.
And I think that that's probably a sign of good things happening around the Southwick area.
Okay, and you're the person who holds the seat. Matt Cherry said almost the same thing a couple of weeks ago. It's a good start. He's on board. He thinks Mike Collins has done a good job getting the ball rolling. Let me ask you about our mayor. Doing everything he can, in your estimation, for District 2, the district in which he represented?
I do. You know what's been good about District 2 is that we've had some really great representatives from District 2 over the years. We've had Rob Ludeman, we've had D. Michael Collins, so we've always had good representation, and that's what I want to continue. Good, strong representation.
All right, you've had your say. You've had your about 9 minutes here on Conklin & Company. Bob Vasquez. Joe Celesta gets his time next week. Thank you very much.
Thank you
for coming
very much.
in. Best of luck on May 6th.
Thank you.
Bob Vasquez. When we come back in just a minute, we'll talk about the Boston Marathon right after this.